Good morning, students, teachers, and faculty members. We all have moments in life that test us, moments that push us to confront fear head-on and discover what we're truly made of. For me, one of those moments came on a quiet Sunday afternoon, as I sat watching the funeral and Grand Prix with my family. 5 armed men blew open the front gate, dragged our dogs, and stormed into the home. As they grabbed my parents off the couch and led them away at gunpoint, my younger sisters depended on me. I hid them in the garden before escaping to get help. When the police initially dismissed my call, I ran to the nearest neighborhood security post and begged for assistance. I was all of 9 years old. From that day, I started to think of myself as a leader. I understood my purpose, took action in crisis, and was cool under pressure. I liked that idea, and I searched for leadership opportunities to build on all I perceived myself to be. But what happens when purpose is less clear? When you strive for a leadership position and fall short? How do you find the character and clarity to move forward? Years after that harrowing experience and my immigration to Canada, I faced another challenge, one that was less life-threatening, but still deeply personal. I applied to be an Appleby College prefect, a position I'd worked towards for years. I already held many leadership roles in school, on the sailing team, in clubs, and as a mentor to younger students. Leadership was something I took seriously, and I believed I was ready for this next step. But when the list of prefects was posted, my name wasn't on it. I was initially quite disappointed, but then I remembered Batman isn't recognized by the police either, so. However, the ordeal did prompt me to reflect on leadership and my perception of it. Sailing became my mirror for this reflection. Sailing hooked me, seemingly involuntarily, at 10, after my family moved from landlocked Johannesburg to lakeside Toronto. I found belonging at the Oakville Yacht Squadron, where I grew through the CANSAIL certifications, coaching, volunteering, and then racing at the provincial, national, and then international level. It's a sport that not only demands physical endurance, but also teaches resilience, adaptability, and teamwork. Values essential in both leadership and life. In sailing, you can't control the wind or the waves, but you can control how you navigate them. The success of the journey depends on how you react to your circumstances, how you work with your crew, and how focused you are on the destination. It's a constant reminder that without a clear purpose, you'll end up drifting. Through sailing, I rediscovered the importance of having a specific purpose. Every decision, every adjustment made on the boat is driven by the goal of reaching the finish line first. That sense of direction became essential for me, reminding me that leadership, like life and sailing, isn't just about reacting to what happens. It's about knowing why you're moving forward and leading others with that clarity. And sometimes, looking back helps us find the clarity needed to move forward. Part of my surname, Guerreiro, means warrior in Portuguese. However, it's more than a name. It's representative of a legacy of standing resolute against forces we cannot control. My grandfather's greatest battle wasn't in the war he fought, but in the defiance he showed afterwards. He owned a theatre in Mozambique, a country in Africa that had just gained independence from Portugal. The new communist government demanded that only propaganda films be shown. Instead, he refused. He screened the newest American Hollywood movies. That choice cost him everything: his theatre, his home, his livelihood. A generation later, my father took a stand against corruption in South Africa. At the time, the country was dealing with major political scandals. He testified in court, helping to remove a corrupt president from power. These moments remind me that we don't always choose our battles, but by facing them, we find warrior strength and honor the stories that came before us. As I reflected on my sailing journey and my family's battles, I realized something about my own disappointment. Throughout my journey as a leader, whether on the water, being an S1 leader, peer tutor, student ambassador, organizing the Model United Nations Club, I always had taken on these roles with specific purpose in mind. Every time I stepped up, it was because I had a clear goal, a reform I wanted to achieve. I wasn't doing it for the sake of a title. I was doing it because I wanted to make a difference. This realization was a turning point. Leadership is not about a badge or position. It's about purpose. It's about having a vision, a goal, something bigger than yourself that you're working towards. When you lead with purpose, people trust you. They believe in you not just because you're capable, but because you stand for something. Emily Ishvatani-Smith, in her TED Talk, speaks about the pillars of meaning, one of which is purpose. It's the idea that we all need something to drive us, something to make our efforts worthwhile, something to keep the dogs barking. As David Goggins might say, something to keep us hard. Purpose is the fuel that keeps us moving, even when the road gets tough. My mother always tells me, do not abandon your post. Your post here is not your desired outcome. It's not what you want. It's never egocentric. I love the mantra because it calls to the importance of the lowly soldier. The lowly soldier is the simplistic truth of who we are, and his post is his mortal soul. It reminds us to stand by our core virtues. I try to stand by the virtues of courage, grace, and compassion. Through courage, strive to show external sovereignty over your circumstances. As all the negative voices and fears try to eat at you, it is the courageous decision and responsibility to respond with an internal sovereignty and a courageous heart. Shut out the noise. The noise is the ego drawing you away from your post. It's a diversion. The next piece of your post is grace. Just like Jesus lived, I encourage you to respond with adversity with humility and gratitude for all your blessings. I know it's hard when you feel afraid of losing, but taking stock of your gifts is empowering. Do not compare yourself or sell yourself short. Lastly, compassion. Give yourself some grace, tenderness, and encouragement, the kind you would to animals or to your younger siblings. Well, if they weren't so annoying. Our call in life is not to be perfect, but to do our earnest best and stand wholeheartedly at our post. Our dream life will always be guaranteed this way, and it's true in every area of your life. Whether studying for a chem test, starting a relationship, or applying for an internship, if you don't have a clear purpose, a post to stand by, it's easy to lose your way. It is said that in the Roman Republic, when a general returned from a great victory, he was given a triumph, a parade through the city, surrounded by his legions and the spoils of war. But behind him, a slave would whisper in his ear, "Memento mori, memento mundus." Remember, you are mortal. Remember your dutiful purpose. This was not meant to diminish his achievements, but to remind him that titles fade, power is fleeting, and the only thing that truly lasts is this purposeful character. So today, I want to challenge all of you. If you're aspiring to be a leader, whether at school, in your community, or in your future careers, ask yourself, why? What is your purpose? It is not enough to seek out a position for the sake of the recognition of your abilities. The world needs leaders right now who stand for something, who act with integrity, and who are driven by a deep sense of purpose. As Sir Edmund Walker said, we cannot become a great nation without first developing national character with decided moral greatness. On my first visit to Appleby, Mr. Van Nostrand described the kinds of leaders the school aims to create. He jokingly said, people who are passable at a dance, but invaluable in a shipwreck. At the time, I laughed, but as the years pass and I've fallen more and more in love with this place, I've come to realize how profound that statement is. Maybe I should listen to more speeches. As you go through your life, don't just aim for the titles, the badges, or the success. Aim to be a leader of character, a leader who brings people together, who creates change, and who makes the world around them better. Lead with purpose, and everything else will follow. I leave you with this. Happiness doesn't come from the positions we hold. It comes from knowing that we're working towards something meaningful. As we face life's rough seas, let's remember, rough seas make great sailors, and a leader with purpose can navigate through any storm. Thank you, and please join me in singing hymn number 662, my bad, sorry.